Men over 60, best foods to boost testosterone naturally. Sounds too good to be true? Some say you're over 60, low testosterone is just part of aging. Others argue nope, you can absolutely bring it back without pills, shots, or anything synthetic just by eating the right foods. So who's right? Well, if you're a man over 60 and you've been feeling tired, unmotivated, gaining stubborn belly fat, or losing your edge in the bedroom, this isn't just about diet, this is about getting your life back. But here's the twist. Some of the foods you've been eating for years, even the ones labeled healthy, could be silently crushing your testosterone. And on the flip side, there are a handful of simple, affordable foods that can reignite your masculine energy naturally. And no, we're not talking about rare herbs from the Himalayas or $100 supplements. We're talking everyday foods that might already be in your kitchen, just waiting to flip the switch back on. So before we dive into the science, the stories, and the foods that can change your life, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, share this video with a fellow man over 60 who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss our weekly health tips. It really helps us keep this channel going, and trust me, we've got some powerful videos coming up that you won't want to miss. All right, ready to stop feeling old and start feeling like you again? Let's get started. What happens to testosterone after 60? Let me ask you something. Have you been feeling unusually tired, less motivated, or like your drive just isn't what it used to be? Maybe your belly's gotten a little bigger, your focus has slipped, or things just aren't the same in the bedroom. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone, and you're definitely not crazy. What you're likely experiencing is age-related testosterone decline, something I've seen over and over again in men over 60 during my 30-plus years as a physician. Most people think testosterone is only about sex, but the truth is, it's the foundation of male health. It impacts your muscle strength, energy, metabolism, bone health, brain function, mood, and yes, your performance and desire as a man. Here's the reality. After 30, testosterone drops by about 1% each year. That may not seem like much until you realize that by 60, most men have lost between 30 to 50% of their natural testosterone. According to the American Journal of Medicine, 39% of men over 60 already have clinically low testosterone, and that number jumps to over 50% by age 70. Low testosterone, or andropause, can show up in ways that are subtle but frustrating. Fatigue that doesn't go away, mood swings, brain fog, weight gain, especially around the belly, low libido, and trouble sleeping. These changes don't just make life harder, they can affect your confidence, your relationships, even your sense of identity. But here's the most important thing you need to hear. Your body hasn't forgotten how to produce testosterone, it just needs the right support. And that support starts with something you do 3 times a day: eating. Most men don't realize it, but your diet is either helping or hurting your hormones. Too much sugar, alcohol, or processed food? That's suppressing your testosterone. Not enough zinc, magnesium, or vitamin D. That's blocking your body from making what it needs. One study in nutrition and metabolism even showed that older men with more micronutrients in their diet had 20% higher testosterone levels, even if they were the same age and fitness level as others. So if you've been wondering where your energy went, or why you don't feel like yourself anymore, it's time to look at your plate. Because what you eat every day can either rebuild your strength or slowly take it away. In the next section, I'm going to show you exactly which foods to eat, the best natural testosterone boosters I recommend to every man over 60. These are simple, everyday foods that can help reignite your energy, focus, and confidence, without prescriptions, without gimmicks. Let's dive in. The 7 best testosterone-boosting foods. Number 1. Eggs, especially the yolk. If you've been avoiding egg yolks because you've heard they're bad for your heart, you're not alone, but you might be doing your testosterone levels a disservice. The truth is, egg yolks contain cholesterol, and cholesterol is essential for making testosterone. Without it, your body simply doesn't have the raw material it needs to produce this vital hormone. Eggs also deliver key nutrients like vitamin D, B5, B6, and selenium, all of which play a direct role in hormone regulation. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that men who consumed more dietary cholesterol had higher testosterone levels than those who didn't. From my experience as a doctor, I've seen this play out in real life. I had a patient, Alan, 64, who was eating egg whites only because he thought it was the healthy thing to do. He was also feeling chronically tired and low on motivation. Once he added 2 whole eggs back into his daily routine, yolks included, he reported more energy, better focus, and even a better mood within just a few weeks. I always recommend choosing pasture-raised or organic eggs if possible. They are richer in nutrients and healthier fats. And unless you've been told otherwise by your doctor, having 1 to 2 whole eggs a day is not only safe for most men over 60, it's one of the simplest ways to support natural testosterone production. So the next time you're making breakfast, skip the egg white only routine. Embrace the yolk. Your hormones will thank you. Number 2, pomegranate. Pomegranate has long been known as a symbol of fertility, but what many people don't realize is that this ancient fruit is now backed by modern science, especially when it comes to boosting testosterone. It's not just folklore anymore. Studies show pomegranate can have a direct impact on hormone levels in men over 60. In one clinical study published in Clinical Nutrition, men who drank pure pomegranate juice daily for just 2 weeks experienced a 24% increase in salivary testosterone levels. That's nearly a quarter jump in only 14 days. Pretty impressive for natural fruit you can find in any grocery store. Now let me ask you, have you tried adding pomegranate to your routine? And if you have, are you using the real stuff or one of those sugar-loaded supermarket versions? That part matters. I always tell my patients, if you're going to drink pomegranate juice, make sure it's 100% pure and unsweetened. Better yet, eat the seeds themselves. They're packed with antioxidants, fiber, and polyphenols that support blood flow and hormone balance. I had a patient named George, 68, who had been dealing with low libido and poor circulation. We looked at his diet, and he had never even tried pomegranate before. After adding just half a cup of the fresh seeds to his morning yogurt every day, along with a few other diet tweaks, he told me by the end of the month he was sleeping better, feeling more alert, and had even noticed a return of morning erections, something he hadn't experienced in over a year. The secret behind pomegranate's power lies in compounds called punicalagins, which are potent antioxidants that protect blood vessels and improve nitric oxide levels, crucial for healthy circulation and performance. And better circulation doesn't just help the heart, it supports everything down there, too. So if you're serious about boosting testosterone naturally, don't overlook this bright red fruit. Drop a comment and let me know, have you tried pomegranate before? If not, maybe now's the time. Number 3. Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts might be small, but when it comes to testosterone support, they pack a serious punch. These nuts are one of the richest natural sources of selenium, a trace mineral that plays a major role in testosterone production, sperm quality, and overall male fertility. In fact, just 2 to 3 Brazil nuts provide more than 100% of your daily selenium requirement. As a doctor, I often ask my male patients, are you getting enough selenium? Most don't even know what it is, let alone where to find it. But the research is clear. Selenium deficiency has been linked to lower testosterone levels, poor sperm motility, and increased oxidative stress on the testicles. A study published in Biological Trace Element Research found that men who had higher blood levels of selenium also had significantly better sperm count and testosterone levels compared to those who were deficient. I remember working with a patient named Ron, 66 years old, who was feeling low energy, struggling with fertility, and frustrated with his progress. He had no idea that a simple nutritional deficiency could be playing such a big role. We added just 2 Brazil nuts a day to his diet, and within 2 months his blood work showed improvement, not only in testosterone but also in his sperm parameters. More importantly, he felt the difference, clearer mind, more stamina, and a noticeable mood lift. But here's the key. With selenium, more isn't better. In fact, too much selenium can be toxic and lead to unwanted side effects like nausea, fatigue, and hair loss. That's why I always caution my patients to keep it simple. Just 2 or 3 Brazil nuts a day is plenty. So here's a question for you. Have you ever tried Brazil nuts as part of your daily routine? If not, are you willing to give it a shot? Let me know in the comments. For men over 60, this tiny nut can be a big help in restoring hormonal balance naturally. Just a few a day could help support your testosterone, fertility, and overall vitality without a single pill. Number 4, spinach. Spinach isn't just good for your heart, it's also a quiet powerhouse for boosting testosterone, especially in men over 60. This leafy green is loaded with magnesium, a mineral that plays a crucial role in freeing up testosterone that's otherwise bound to proteins in your blood. In other words, magnesium helps increase the amount of active, usable testosterone circulating in your body. Research supports this connection. A study published in Biological Trace Element Research found that magnesium supplementation increased testosterone levels in both active and sedentary older men. That's key, because even if you're not hitting the gym every day, getting enough magnesium can still make a real impact on your hormone health. I've had patients tell me they thought spinach was just for Popeye, or something they only ate as kids. But one patient in particular, Gary, age 70, was dealing with fatigue, low mood, and trouble sleeping. When we reviewed his diet, it was clear he wasn't getting enough magnesium. We made one simple change. He started adding a cup of spinach to his morning smoothie and throwing it into his eggs a few times a week. A month later, he told me his energy had improved and he no longer needed a nap just to get through the afternoon. Spinach is also packed with vitamin C, iron, and antioxidants that help lower inflammation, another factor that can negatively impact testosterone levels. It's a low-calorie, high-impact food that fits into almost any meal. Whether you blend it into a smoothie, toss it into a salad, or saute it with your eggs, it's easy to get in a few servings a week. So here's a quick question for you. How often do you eat spinach? If it's less than twice a week, that might be something to change. Drop a comment and let me know how you like to prepare it, or if you're willing to start working it into your meals. This simple green could be one of the easiest wins in your hormone health playbook. Number 5. Extra virgin olive oil. Extra virgin olive oil isn't just a staple of the Mediterranean diet. It's also one of the best natural oils for supporting testosterone production, especially in older men. Rich in healthy monounsaturated fats and antioxidants, it works on multiple levels, improving testicular function, lowering inflammation, and supporting overall hormonal balance. A study published in Natural Product Communications found that older men who consumed olive oil regularly experienced measurable increases in testosterone. The researchers noted improvements in the activity of enzymes involved in testosterone synthesis, particularly within the Leydig cells, the part of the testicles responsible for producing this essential hormone. I often ask my patients over 60 how they cook their meals, and more times than not, I hear they're still using vegetable oils like canola or corn oil. That's a problem. Those oils are high in omega-6 fats, which can promote inflammation and disrupt hormone health. When I recommend switching to extra virgin olive oil, the changes are often noticeable within weeks. More energy, better mood, and fewer inflammatory symptoms like joint pain or bloating. One of my patients, Joe, age 71, had been struggling with low energy and stiffness. We didn't add any supplements, just swapped out his cooking oil and added a tablespoon of olive oil to his salads daily. 3 weeks later, he told me he felt less sluggish, more mentally sharp, and even noticed an uptick in his libido. But the key is using olive oil correctly. To get the full benefits, it's best used raw, drizzled over salads, vegetables, or added after cooking. High heat can degrade the antioxidants and healthy fats, reducing its hormonal benefits. So here's a question for you. What kind of oil are you using at home? If it's not extra virgin olive oil, it might be time to make the switch. A simple tablespoon a day can support your testosterone naturally and protect your heart and brain along the way. Number 6. Fatty fish, salmon, sardines, mackerel. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel are some of the best natural foods you can eat to support testosterone production, especially as you age. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation and support overall hormone health, and they're also excellent sources of vitamin D, a nutrient many older men are deficient in. Vitamin D doesn't just support bone health and immunity, it's also directly tied to testosterone production. A study published in the International Journal of Endocrinology found that men with higher levels of vitamin D consistently had higher testosterone levels compared to those who were deficient. And here's the kicker. Many men over 60 are walking around with low vitamin D and have no idea, especially if they don't get much sun exposure. In my practice, I often ask patients how often they eat fish, and I'm surprised by how many say rarely or never. One patient, Ed, age 69, had low testosterone and ongoing fatigue. He didn't like taking supplements, so we went the food-first route. I had him start eating wild-caught salmon twice a week and sardines once a week. After a month, he came back feeling more energetic, sleeping better, and with a lab result that showed a clear rise in his vitamin D and testosterone levels. If you're not eating fatty fish regularly, you might be missing out on one of the simplest ways to support your hormones. I recommend getting in 2 to 3 servings per week and choosing wild-caught fish whenever possible. They're higher in omega-3s and lower in contaminants. If you're not a big fan of fish, canned sardines in olive oil are a quick and easy option packed with the same benefits. So tell me, how often do you eat fatty fish each week? If it's less than twice, it may be time to rethink your grocery list. A few servings can go a long way in helping you feel stronger, sharper, and more like yourself again. Number 7. Ginger root. Ginger root is one of the simplest, most affordable natural remedies for boosting testosterone, and it's something many men overlook. This spicy root has been used for centuries in traditional medicine, but modern science now confirms what ancient cultures already knew. It works. Ginger contains powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that help protect the testes, improve circulation, and support hormone production. A study published in the Tikrit Medical Journal found that older men who took daily ginger supplements experienced a 17% increase in testosterone levels over just 3 months. That's a meaningful boost, especially considering it came from a natural food source, not medication. The study also noted improvements in sperm quality, which is another strong indicator of better hormonal health. In my practice, I've worked with many men over 60 who have added ginger into their diets and reported noticeable changes. One patient, Bill, age 65, started drinking fresh ginger tea each morning and cooking more with ginger in his stir-fry meals. After a few weeks, he told me he felt more alert, less bloated, and had more stamina throughout the day. It wasn't a magic fix, but it was a real, consistent improvement, and it came without side effects. Ginger is easy to use. You can grate it into hot tea, blend it into smoothies, or slice it thin for cooking. I often recommend making fresh ginger tea with lemon as a morning routine. It supports digestion, boosts circulation, and helps set a healthier hormonal tone for the day. So let me ask, have you ever tried using fresh ginger daily? If not, what's holding you back? A small habit like this could be a game changer for your testosterone and overall vitality. Ginger may be simple, but its benefits for aging men are anything but. Part 3: Foods that destroy testosterone. Just as the right foods can help restore testosterone, the wrong ones can quietly sabotage it. In fact, some of the most common items in your kitchen may be doing more harm than you realize. As a doctor, I always tell my patients, if you're serious about raising your testosterone naturally, knowing what to avoid is just as important as knowing what to eat. Let's start with soy. Tofu, soy milk, and even some protein bars contain compounds called phytoestrogens, plant-based chemicals that mimic estrogen in the body. While a little soy here and there won't ruin your health, regular consumption can throw off your hormonal balance. I've had male patients who switched from soy milk to almond or oat milk and noticed improvements in energy and mood within weeks. Next is alcohol, and especially beer. Beer is high in phytoestrogens from hops, and drinking it regularly can lower testosterone and raise estrogen. One of my patients, Frank, 67, was having a beer or two every night. When he cut back to just once or twice a week, not only did he lose belly fat, but his lab tests showed a small but meaningful increase in testosterone within 2 months. If you enjoy a drink, moderation is key, and spirits or red wine in small amounts may be less disruptive than beer. Sugar and processed carbs are another major problem. These spike your insulin, and high insulin levels are directly linked to lower testosterone. A study published in Hormone and Metabolic Research found that men with diets high in sugar and trans fats had significantly lower testosterone than those with cleaner diets. I often see this in men who eat pastries for breakfast or processed snacks during the day. When we replace those with whole foods, like eggs, fruit, or nuts, their energy returns and their hormones start moving in the right direction. Lastly, watch out for vegetable oils like canola, corn, and soybean oil. These are high in omega-6 fatty acids, which can cause inflammation when consumed in excess. Chronic inflammation suppresses testosterone production. Swap these out for healthier fats like olive oil, avocado oil, or butter from grass-fed cows. Let me ask, are any of these foods a regular part of your diet right now? If so, which ones are you most willing to cut back on starting this week? Let me know in the comments. Making just a few smart swaps can help you reverse years of hormonal decline and start feeling more energized, focused, and like yourself again. Conclusion. As we've seen, testosterone is about so much more than just sex drive. It's your energy, your strength, your mood, your focus. It's a major part of what makes you feel like you. And while aging naturally lowers testosterone, the truth is you have far more control than you think. With the right foods in your diet, like eggs, pomegranate, Brazil nuts, spinach, olive oil, fatty fish, and ginger, and by cutting out hormone-disrupting foods like excess soy, alcohol, sugar, and vegetable oils, you can support your body's ability to bounce back naturally. I've seen these changes work in real life, not just in research studies, but with real patients in their 60s, 70s, and beyond who turn things around with small, consistent lifestyle shifts. And the best part, you don't need expensive supplements, prescriptions, or drastic diets. Just simple, powerful nutrition choices that work with your body, not against it. If you found value in this video, I'd truly appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend who could use this info, and subscribe for more health content specifically for men over 60. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful videos to keep you strong, sharp, and in control of your health. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's never too late to feel like yourself again. See you in the next video.